I feel really passionate about this topic, and I don't know, I'm going to give you a little insight into where that passion comes from, like my motivation for it, but I just think it's compelling enough that I want to share it with people in a way that is, almost like a plea. I mean, the title of this video was an urgent plea to XRP investors. And I think it is a plea. I was thinking, is that too strong of a way to put it? But yeah, I want people to understand this, and understand this about me too, because it kind of shapes the way you engage with my content as well. Anyway, let's move into it. So we've all experienced like difficult things. I think one of the most difficult things that we've experienced is holding XRP. I joke. Just trying to add some humor into this, because it's about to get dark. We've all experienced the worst that life has to offer, I think, most of the time. We've experienced death. That's death of family members, friends. Obviously, I don't think anyone here has experienced death themselves. Unless there's YouTube in heaven. I don't know. Maybe there is. I doubt my channel would be there. Anyway, that's beside the point. Death is a really difficult thing to handle. I personally have I don't know why. Like, I don't know. I've been around a lot of like young death. So I had a best friend at school. We were 17. He took his own life for a reason that none of us knew like beforehand. We only realized afterwards where that had kind of originated from. But that was my first real experience of like actually losing someone, and noticing that even if you're young, time is limited. Like, it doesn't matter where you are on the scheme of things. It doesn't matter. There's a thing at the end of that train track that kind of goes off. It's like the conveyor belt of life, and it's inevitable for everyone. Although I'm adamantly trying to get cryo frozen so I can be brought back 1,000 years later to see what's going on, see if XRP is still alive. But the knowledge and the awareness of death came into my purview quite quickly, I think. I also then had the death of my granddad, and that's not a young death, but again, this was adding on to this awareness. And then I went to university in America, and there were multiple people that died at my university in car crashes. And then, I get back to the UK, I get a job, and one of my colleagues dies. Like a young person, one of my colleagues dies in a car crash. And actually all of these people in the car crashes, getting out to help someone who was in a car crash. All of them died. So if you see a car crash, don't stop and get out and help. And if you do, like really, I know so many people that have died like that. Serious. So just don't do that. Public service announcement right there. I just keep noticing this over time. And it's reinforcing this idea to me that actually life isn't infinite. And I think we can convince ourselves that it is. And let's relate this back to crypto, because I think what's unique about the XRP community is that we have a very long-term view on things. And so this long-term view, I think, actually shoots ourselves in the foot, because we're giving ourselves this long-term perspective of saying, this asset's going to be, it's a generational asset, it's going to build wealth for our families and generations to come and stuff. Sure, I get it. Like, I'm a proponent of that. I've talked about that long enough on this channel. Like, you should know where I stand on that. I believe that. But then I start to question, is there no consideration for your own time? Like, are you not considering your own life, the time that you have left? I did a calculation about, like, over the entire lifespan, how much time do you actually have to devote to something that's that can actually move the needle on your life? So what I mean by that is, let's remove sleep. Obviously, sleep can move the needle on your life if you don't get enough of it, make you have all sorts of issues and die earlier, have less time. But if you talk about like having 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night, or attribute all the time that you would spend eating, all the time that you would spend on the toilet, all the time you would spend daydreaming, all this time you spend at work, accounting for all of these things, I calculated you probably only have about 8 years left of life. Like 8 years that you can dedicate to something that is free time. I'm not doing anything else. I'm not getting changed. I'm not on the toilet. I'm not doing any of the things I've just mentioned. This is the time you have. Our lifespan, the time for us to make not necessarily a legacy, but make the fulfillment of life is 8 years. Now, you might be watching this and you might be thinking, hang on a second, I'm 55. Yeah. It's not 8 years for you anymore. I'm sorry to go there. Like, this is why it's an urgent plea, because there's many people late on this journey who are 60, 70, 75, 80. You don't have 8 years. I don't have 8 years. You have 8 years if you're starting from zero. You know, if I'm halfway through life at 33, and that's probably underestimate, but for simplicity's sake, if you're 40 or 45, it's likely that you're in the middle. You've probably only got 4 years left to dedicate. So what are you going to do with those 4 years? I would suggest you don't spend those 4 years completely consumed in crypto and scrolling through YouTube and filling this void of knowledge, this knowledge gap that you've been told that you have, with endless mind-numbing, price predictions and here's the next piece of news that you need to know, otherwise you're going to fail. Don't spend your time doing that. What would be better would be to spend your time focusing on things that are actually really important. This makes the most sense to me. I hope it's resonating with some of you as well. I want you to know you have very limited time left, less time than you imagine, to actually dedicate some time and attention to do something that will really move the needle on satisfaction of life. One of those fundamental things that I'm obviously going to focus on in this video is the financial element. We have very limited time. In that time that's available, this is where you build a business, or you invest in something, or you learn about something to invest in, you speculate in this time. And that time you also want to free up for family. So that time you're competing for, right? So you would say, I've got this family, I love my family, I've got 8 years of my life, I've now got 4 or 3 or 2 years of my life that I need to dedicate. I want to dedicate as much of that as possible to my grandkids, to my kids, whatever it is. I don't really want to do anything else with that time. That's how precious we feel about that time, right? Now, you have the choice here to get to that state as quickly as possible, to get to the state where you can spend all of that available time with the things that are important to you, or you can waste that time by pursuing overwhelm and complexity in an investment space that you haven't really thought out very well. And I'm not pointing fingers there. What I'm saying by that is most people are passive in the way that they engage with crypto. Yeah, I'll just watch that video. If they say it's going to $10,000 then per coin, then I'm just going to sit on it and wait. And that they said never sell ever. I'm just going to do that and wait and see. Meanwhile, you're wasting that time watching the content, absorbing it all, getting overwhelmed, thinking you need to know more, keeping you in that cycle of the news loop. This is not how we want to spend those years. We want to spend the smallest amount of time possible making sure we know everything we need to know, and we've actually actioned those things to benefit the rest of the time. Right? So how much is reasonable? If you've got 8 years in your life, how much is reasonable to assign to setting up the ability to be able to do that? I would say you probably want to spend... how much would you sacrifice? I mean, that's what it comes down to. It's a sacrifice, isn't it? I guess there is no number. You just have to make that the smallest amount of time possible to get everything set up and ready to go, so that you can spend the rest of that time doing what you actually want to do that would create fulfillment for you. But while also acknowledging this generational wealth side of things that you want to maintain that goes past you. When you drop off the other end of the train track, what is the decisions, what does the use of those 8 years do for the progression of that wealth? And I think that's where a plan of action comes in. I think there's nothing better than a plan. Like a plan of action that just executes for you. Like you've done all the thinking ahead of time. You haven't overcomplicated it. You've made it reasonable and simple. You've structured your portfolio according to that. And it's just there. You've spent very little time on it in comparison to the 8 years. Now you've got all that time to go and just do what you want to do, knowing that the rest is taken care of. This is the urgent plea. Like, and I'm not saying join my program. Like, I really don't want to really be saying that anymore, because it's actually more important just for people to know the concepts, to like go and do it. Go and do it yourselves. Of course, you can speed it up with me. Like, I can help you with it. But you can go and do this yourself. I don't care what plan you have. Make one. Go and enjoy your life. Like, I don't want people to be fixed into crypto for a massive chunk of that remaining lifespan that you have. That's just sad. I think that's going to end up being really sad, and you'll regret the time that you've spent scrolling through YouTube constantly. So there it is. That's my urgent plea. On a brighter note, there is a song that I love about death. This is sounding so strange. It's called "Stop That Train" by John Mayer. If you can go over to Spotify, type it into YouTube, "Stop This Train" by John Mayer. I want you to listen for one thing. As he's singing, you're like, oh, okay. You'll notice that your mind is starting to like follow along with the beat, until you realize that the beat itself is in fact a train track, and we're all on that train. You can't stop that train, no matter how much you want to stop it, and it will end. Be very wary of how you spend your time. Go and listen to that song. But before you do, if you thought this message was important and you'd like other people to see it, please do share the video with other people. We're on our way to 100,000 subscribers. So subscribe while you're at it as well, if you haven't already. If you want more insights like this, I deliver some insights like this on my newsletter. Also some more actionable crypto related things. And I also share some like client testimonials of how people are making things work and really ultimately changing their life. Like, we've got people training for Ironman, losing 25 pounds, like physically, just completely removing emotion from that whole thing. And my favorite one, we've got people leaving crypto. And that's going to sound shocking, but they're setting their plan of action and then going and enjoying life. Like, they're not plugged into crypto anymore. They're not watching the channel anymore. I love that. And I want that for everyone. So if you want that kind of insight in my newsletter, it's 3 times a week. So be prepared. You can register for the newsletter down below. It's completely free. So stay emotionless. I hope this wasn't too dark for you, but I hope it was eye-opening and illuminating to the time that we have or don't have left. I'll see you in the next one.